My name is Charlene May Hayward Stockton. I was born in Galena, Kansas on East 7th Street in 1933. My dad worked at the smelter. My mother, he met her in Webb City. She was going to college, junior college over at Joplin, and they met at the Webb City Park. My mother was Clymena Susie Hayward Lamb, and my dad was Clarence William Hayward. My brothers' names were Clarence Marion Hayward and Melvin Newt Hayward. My sisters' names are Georgia Edwina Morey and Donna Susie Ryan. My husband's name was Louis Edward Stockton. My daughter's name is Stephanie Lou Mann, and my son's name is Richard Lynn Stockton. My grandchildren's names are Brian Mann, Bradley Mann, Brent Mann, Aaron Stockton, and Camden Stockton. My name was chosen from one of their friends, the Banksons, that were neighbors to my mom and dad, and Grandma and Grandpa Lamb had a daughter. Her name was Charlene. She died at birth. That's where my mother got my name, Charlene. The May comes from Blanche May Lamb and Bertha May Hayward, both of my grandmothers. You know, the only nickname I ever had was Tiny, and that my Grandpa Lamb gave that to me, I soon outgrew that. It was interesting that my older brother had the nickname Bubba. My other brother had the name Butch. My sister that is younger than I am, her name was Jo, and my baby sister's name was Susie. We were growing up, we were actually roller skating. We were talking about that the other night. Even our dad and mom never tried, but Dad tried to roller skate, but all the rest of us just lived the skating rink because we lived close to it. It was a skating rink at the church and our school. That was our life. We would go fishing and we would go on picnics. So we had a good family life. I attended Chico School till I was in the 4th grade, and then I came to Galena School in the 4th. My favorite subjects were reading and writing. I had a teacher in the 4th grade. Her name was Joanne Grubbs. I loved her. Vernon Wade was my music instructor in junior high. I loved him. The rest of them I tolerated. Joking. I loved school. I really did. I loved my friends. And when I got in junior high, the twirling was my whole life, and the roller skating and the band majors and marching with the drum corps and leading the band was my special times in school. I never thought much about it. I just wanted to grow up to be a good woman, good mother, and a good wife. You know, I don't think I really had any personal heroes except my dad. He was my favorite. And my mom, our family life. That was all I ever looked up to. We lived a mile west of Galena, and we lived in Galena all of our lives except for just a year or two in Parsons, Kansas, which we didn't like. We come right back to Galena again, so we grew up in Galena. And Joplin, we lived some in Joplin. I started out from high school working at Woolworths. I went from Woolworths to a telephone operator. I loved that, did 7 years of that. Then I went from there to bundle assembly work at Pacific Mercury, and I went from there to a garment factory, and I went from there to an ammunition plant. That was another job I loved. It was 7 years there, and I was a clerk for about 40 years. That's a lot of jobs. I love my job at the ammunition plant. I love the telephone operator job, and I also loved the clerk. And I worked as a clerk because it wasn't the money. I just loved people, and I didn't like a job that was monotonous. And that was never monotonous. You didn't know from one day to the next what was going to happen. I loved it.
Energetic.
Ditzy. Hilarious.
Bombastic.
Unflappable.
Impossible.
Faith. Superhuman. Crazy. Awesome. She's wonderful.
I met my husband at the roller skating at Galena, Kansas. He had the most beautiful smile and eyes I ever seen in anybody. You know, he didn't ever propose to me. He just talked about what we was going to do when we got married. So I don't think it was really a proposal. We were married at Iron Gates Christian Church, November 21st, 1951, by Floyd Cole, minister at the church. There wasn't too many things to be favorable for we did. You know, he didn't know when I married him, he didn't know what love was. I'm telling you the truth. He didn't know what love was. He was brought up in a home that was just bad, and he joined the service when he was way too young, and he had a terrible upbringing. And I really don't think he ever knew what love was. So that was something we had to teach him. We did. And it was rough. The hardest times with him was when we found out he was sick, terminally ill. I had 2 children at home to raise, and I remember sitting on my bedroom crying and asking God just to let me have him long enough to raise my 2 kids. He let me have him 30 years. Difficult times of my life was, like I said, when your grandpa got sick with terminally ill heart trouble, when Stephanie started having seizures, both in the same year. That was the hardest times of my life.
My favorite thing about Grandma is her silliness.
My favorite thing about Charlene is she's always glad, whether it's funny or not.
My favorite thing about Grandma is she pretty much, I don't think she cares about what anybody thinks of her. She loves to have fun. She loves to goof off, joke around, and she just don't care what anybody else thinks of her. And that's what I love about her.
My favorite thing about Charlene is just the energy she brings into a room.
My favorite thing about Mom is how much she loves us and her barbecued bologna.
My favorite thing about Charlene is how deeply she loves her family. She's always there for us whenever we need her. She comes to every ball game. She is just relentless in her love of every member of this family.
My favorite thing is she is one of my sisters, and I love her to death, but she's a lot to the core.
My favorite thing about Mom is that she's my mom, no matter what. She's my mom.
And with Stephanie Lou, you never knew what she's going to do. We were going to Iron Gates Christian Church. We had Floyd Cole as our minister, and he loved to sing the old-time religion. And he would get up on that stage, and he would stomp his feet and clap his hands. One morning, Stephanie just jumped up on that stage and started dancing and clapping her hands. She's about 3 years old before we could catch her. That was one thing. The other memory with her was we was having a nativity scene at the church, and Melvin was Joseph, and he was sitting behind the manger filled with straw. And Steffi was a little angel, about 3-4 years old, and she was in a little white outfit. She turned around him, she says, "Baby Jesus, he pinched me." The whole crowd just that was Stephanie. We were camping down at Twin Hills. We went camping a lot on the weekend when the kids were growing up. And we were down there. We had a bonfire going and we're roasting marshmallows. And Rick was roasting his marshmallow. He took it over and flopped it in my hand and said, Mama, hold this for me. That was one memory I remember. He was something else. He was a good kid, though. He really was. The other thing that Rick did was he was playing out in the yard one day when we lived up on 5th Street. And he and some kids got across the road into the neighborhood cedar trees. They come out of the house thinking our kids had eaten mothballs. And Rick kept saying, I didn't, Mama, I didn't eat mothballs. I had to take him over the job and have his stomach pumped. And I cried all the time it was going on. But, he swore him down. He didn't, but his mouth smelled like he did. So I didn't make any chances. Huh? No, I don't think he had really. Doctor didn't say. I don't know.
So you just paid for a stomach?
Yeah, probably did. But he wasn't the one got his stomach pumped that day. I couldn't ask for better kids. I wouldn't ask for better kids. My daughter was a beautiful girl when she was growing up, so I did worry a lot more about her than I ever did Rick. Rick always let me know where he was going and when he'd be home. He never made a gray hair in my head. Steffi put several. She was pretty, I'm telling you. It's been wonderful to see my family grow. It hasn't been without hard times, but they always turn out to be better times.
There's a lot of funny stories about Grandma, but I would think that some of the best ones were actually what took place right here in this place.
Here at the park, years ago when I was little,
When I was a young lad,
she backed into a picnic table bench.
It's right over there.
and she backed up into a concrete picnic table.
It's a park bench.
And broke half of it into pieces.
And my dad's car.
And it didn't hurt the car one bit.
And that, she showed it no mercy.
It hurt the bench more than it hurt the car.
That's all I gotta say.
I think we'd have to go with the classic of blessing the wieners. Can't really get better than that one.
Years ago, back about 2000, we took a family vacation out to Virginia to see Brian. And we stayed at the beach in North Carolina, the one at Nagshead, North Carolina. And we were all sitting down to eat. We had some hot dogs and burgers, and we went to pray. Grandma prayed for us. And the first thing out of her mouth when she started praying was, "Lord, please bless our wieners." And Derek and Jeremy were pretty young at that time, and they just had this fun, hilarious look on their faces, and they busted up laughing, and we all started busting up laughing. And that's another hilarious story that we have never let her live down.
The funniest thing about Mom is that when people are sitting around carrying on conversation,
Where did you go?
she thinks she knows exactly what's going on in the conversation. So she will type up with something to do about what she thinks the conversation is about, but it's not at all what the conversation is about, but it's what she wanted to say. And she got in what she wanted to say. That's Mom.
When she was staying with us last year, after she had her foot surgery, she was with us for 8 weeks. It was a fun time. But while I had to take her out of the house in the wheelchair to the car, I take her down the steps and she was going, wee, wee. I said, she sounded like the pig on the Geico commercial. So all she needs is the pinwheel, and she'd have everything she needed. So
When she was in rehab and now worked her, they would have her bouncing the ball and trying to walk at the same time. I mean, you would think she was drunk. She just wobbled from one side to the other, but she keeps saying, "Oh, lately I'm not good." So I don't know.
I belong to College Heights Christian Church. Very good teaching, very good lessons, very good people. I came to know Jesus through the Christian church at Galena, Kansas. I had a girlfriend at school, Barbara Wilkerson, who went to that church, and she and I just grew up in that church. In fact, we all did. And I remember walking a mile in from town with Grandpa Hayward to go to church when others couldn't go. You know, there's always years or so that they can't do what you want them to do. And I'd go with Grandpa. I always had a Christian relief. And I was 15 years old when I accepted Jesus. And I was baptized in the Christian church at Galena. And I'll never forget that experience. It was just like an angel showed in front of me the day I come up out of that water. And I've always had a conscience, so I've always tried to live a Christian life. I was baptized at the baptistry in Galena, Kansas. Seth Wilson baptized me. I just can't imagine life without the Lord. I don't know how anybody makes it through life without the Lord. And if you ever notice anybody, like somebody gets hurt or something in a wreck or something, who are they calling on? Even though they may never even mention his name before. I've been at a wreck. I heard a man do that one time. And I thought to myself, I wonder if he really knows the Lord. Yeah. I want others to know that the Lord is always present when you need him. I want them to know he's always there with his door open to let you in. I just look for blessings, and when I get them, I open myself to blessings.
If Grandma were a character in a movie, she would be the comic relief.
It would be a toss-up between Lucy and Carol Burnett.
Betty White.
Betty Blanche. Deborah.
Betty White.
I think she'd be that just fun grandma that you see in a lot of movies. It's always there, providing a good time for the kids in a movie, just there to have a good time.
My favorite color is blue. My favorite flower is roses. My favorite book is the Bible because I don't read only short stories. I love short stories. My favorite Christian song is Moment by Moment. My favorite food is potatoes. I love chili. I love hamburgers. I love Greek potatoes. I love pie. I love banana cream pie. My favorite recipe is the chocolate sheet cake. Came from Norma Bennett, my friend, down at Veneta. The Greek potatoes come from Aunt Mavis. And my favorite is barbecue bologna. And my mother was the one who first made that. She always made it with pressed ham, though. But barbecue's bologna's better than pressed ham. So, yeah, that's my favorite recipes. Oh, it's good. Who's the Boss? You remember that? I love that show. That's my favorite, really. My most memorable trip was going to San Diego to Camden's wedding. I have driven Cutlasses. I have driven Chevys. I have driven a Lincoln. My favorite car was the Cutlass. My favorite sport is basketball, baseball, football. Favorite basketball team is Bradley Allen's team. My favorite football team is the Chiefs. My favorite baseball was the Royals. Not anymore. They got rid of Merrifield. I don't like them no more. My favorite college team is Missouri Southern. Well, I like KU too. You want me to retract that? And another favorite of mine is KU. I love to watch their games. Yeah, I do. How did I feel when KU won the championship? I loved it. I loved it. I watched it on TV, and my son went out and bought me new shirts. I still have them. I was excited about the Royals winning too, and I also got a T-shirt. I loved it that the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. And I also have a shirt that says Kelsey and Mahomes on it.
Charlene's superpower is just her spirit. She exudes joy all the time. She loves us and cares for us, and she just has an amazing, amazing godly spirit.
Love and caring about other people. She cares about us, and they say not just always herself, but she cares about others.
Caring about people.
Making people happy, because you could be in a really bad, crappy mood, and you hang around Gamo for a while, and you could leave not being in a bad mood anymore. You're all of a sudden in a much better mood.
Grandma's superpower would be resiliency. I've seen that woman go through so much in her life, ups and downs and lots of craziness, having to deal with a husband, with my grandpa who was sick for 30 plus years, having to deal with all the stuff that he had to go through, and then having to go through her own stuff that she had to go through on her own. Just seeing her keep her faith, seeing her be able to laugh in those moments, just an amazing sign of strength and resiliency that you don't see too many people have.
Her health. She's had several surgeries. She's healthier than the rest of us.
in the mouth. And from now.
What I remember about World War II, I remember World War II. I was 10 years old when we won that war. And I remember going to the movies on Saturday nights and seeing on the screen the boys fighting over there. And I remember the big parade that we had all the way down Galena to the stadium the day that we won that war. And I remember that so plainly. I do. The day that J.F. Kennedy was shot was a shock to the whole world. It was a shock to me, and I was very sorrowful to think the United States had come to that. When the World Trade Centers were hit, I remember that I was at work, and it shocked me. It shocked me to think that we let somebody get to us like that. You know, it was interesting to watch how they felt about that day, coming in the store and all. It was interesting. You know, they were shocked too. People were just in shock. Okay, what experiences I have in my life that has shaped my life has been the trials that I've been through. Yeah, the struggles, but they teach you things. But I have joy in my life. I enjoy my life. I make the best out of everything that I can because I choose to be happy. And I think if you want to be happy, you have to choose to be happy, and you can be happy. What I hope for my children is that they can meet their struggles head on, that they can get over them, that they can lift themselves up and be happy. In all the struggles that I've been through, I'm still joyful, and that joyful comes from the Lord. It comes from knowing He's there, His presence is with you, His angels watch over you. I am about to be a great-great-grandmother. That makes me very joyful.
She always is ready to celebrate, always ready to have a good time. So when birthday cake would probably be that.
She would be Neapolitan. Neapolitan only because she's got so many different things, and she's such a, you never know what you're going to get with Grandma. Are you going to get the strawberry? You're going to get the chocolate? You're going to get the vanilla. I think Grandma is a great example of all of that. She's diverse in her emotions and reactions and in her silliness and in her behaviors. So I would say she's Neapolitan.
Oh, tutti frutti or rainbow sherbet. Mixture of everything.
Extreme moose tracks.
Probably any flavor that's got some type of nuts in it or something. So Grandma is nuts in a good, great way. Because of yes, but that's just this family. This whole family's nuts, and we have fun. It's awesome. And Grandma is a little nutty, but she's awesome. I said in a good nutty.
My advice is to pay attention to raising your children, to know what they're doing, to know who they're with, and to know when they'll be home. That was 3 things I always made my children tell me. And make sure you know who they're running around with.
Oh, she's always been a great Christian woman, loving woman. And I feel like that's kind of rubbed off on all of us. She's kind of been a good Christian influence on us and showed us how to love people, love family, love life, love anybody that comes into your life, and just treat people good. And I felt like that's how she's kind of influenced me and maybe the whole family.
She has always encouraged me to keep going and be full of life. Yeah, just encourage me to really live life fully. Or Jesus too, but in every way.
She's given us a lot of laughs. She's been really good. If I had to have a mother-in-law, I guess she will have to do it. I guess she's as good as any of them.
She is a gift. She'll give you anything you needed if she had it. If she didn't, she would go get it somewhere. So I like to be just like her for that. Yeah, she's great at that though.
She's always been there for me, always being able to see her even though we never lived super close all the time. But just if you think about her, she always brings a smile to your face because she always has one. So
She's always able to keep me in a positive mindset if I'm thinking about her, if I'm down. Maybe to bring me out of maybe being negative.
Grandma has influenced my life in so many ways. Just, again, with the being resilient and the way that she's handled all the adversity that she's had to face in her life, watching how she's never wavered in her faith, at least from what I've seen. She's always got a smile on her face, always a willingness to laugh, even in the toughest situations, toughest circumstances. So I would say that, if anything, she's helped me to understand that I too can face anything. I think she's been a great example of God's grace, God's mercy, but also relying on the strength of God. And that's what I've learned and how she's impacted my life.
To have a heart for others, to care and love her family. She's just been a born leader since the beginning of time with her family, and to know when she had the husband who was sick for so many years that she cared and loved him regardless, and she cared and loved her family.
To my mom, she supported everything I did, everything I do, and when I'm not feeling good, she tells me how much better she is feeling than I am.
You know, it's truthfully, I have so many friends that I run into all the time that hug me and give me hugs and stuff. You know, and I don't even realize that they think that of me. They do, or they wouldn't be that way. Just down at the restaurant last night, 2 or 3 of them. Or I can go into Target or Joplin, run into somebody who used to be one of my customers. They'll come up and hug me. Some of them I don't even remember the name. Isn't that something? But you know, I know I'll leave that legacy somewhere along the way. I'm just really loved, that's for sure. Oh, I don't have a singing voice. I do not have a singing voice. That's something I don't have. I can't sing at all anymore. I really can't. No, I just word the words because they're better off. They don't have to listen to me. The end? Is this the end there?